Good morning. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist, here with some words of wisdom today. And we have a very weird perspective today because I snapped the base off of my tripod, and so the phone is just leaning up against some books because I need both of my hands today. So if it looks like I'm lording it over you, sorry about that. So, today we have something actually new, which is cool. We have a reading from Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, good morning. And good morning to whomever else is here. Glad you are here. Thinking it might be Cindy. We'll see. But anyway, so this weird perspective is due to the fact that I destroyed my tripod and we'll have to go get another one. Yep, it's Cindy. Good morning, good morning. So today we have a reading from Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. So the chapter I'm going to read, or part of the chapter I'm going to read, is called Paint Your Ox. So let's just take some nice deep breaths. Just settling in. Good morning, Joe. Welcome, welcome. We are doing Elizabeth Gilbert today, Big Magic. Just breathing a little bit to settle in. And again, I'll try not to get the book too far in front here because the perspective is weird with just my phone leaning up against my stack of books. So here's the part I wanted to read to you from the chapter called Paint Your Ox. I once encountered a man in India who owned nothing of value but an ox. The ox had 2 handsome horns. In order to celebrate his ox, the man had painted one of the horns hot pink and the other turquoise blue. Good morning, Betty. Glad you are here. Let's see here. He then glued little bells to the tip of each horn so that when the ox shook its head, its flashy pink and blue horns made a cheerful tinkling sound. Good morning, Kelly. Welcome, welcome. Did I miss somebody? I'm not sure if I missed somebody. Welcome to everybody who's here because some of the names rolled past pretty fast. And again, our weird perspective is because I've destroyed my tripod and you all are leaning up against a stack of books. So we'll deal with that. This hardworking and financially stressed man had only one valuable possession, but he had embellished it to the max, using whatever materials he could get his hands on, a bit of house paint, a touch of glue, and some bells. As a result of his creativity, he now owned the most interesting looking ox in town. For what? Just because. Because a decorated ox is better than a non-decorated ox, obviously. As evidenced by the fact that 11 years later, the only animal I can still distinctly remember from my visit to that small Indian village is this fantastically decked out ox. Is this the ideal environment in which to create? Having to make art out of things residual in stolen time? Not really. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome. Or maybe it's fine. Maybe it doesn't matter because that's how things have always been made. Most individuals have never had enough time, and they've never had enough resources, and they've never had enough support or patronage or reward, and yet still they persist in creating. They persist because they care. They persist because they are called to be makers by any means necessary. Money helps, to be sure. Good morning, Pat. I need to hear what's going on in your life. Chat with me later. Money helps, to be sure. But if money were the only thing people needed in order to live creative lives, then the mega rich would be the most imaginative, generative, and original thinkers among us. And they simply are not. The essential ingredients for creativity remain exactly the same for everybody. Courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust. And those elements are universally accessible, which does not mean that creative living is always easy. It merely means that creative living is always possible. So, creative living beyond fear, that is our topic for today. So, one of the questions that many of you, I'm sure, have heard and answered multiple times is, if you knew you could not fail, what would you do? What would you do? And I'm going to dig a little deeper into that because I think there's something important in there. somewhere along the line, we got the idea that it wasn't okay to make mistakes. As little kids, we made mistakes all the time. We did not just pop to our feet and walk. We fell on our butts a lot. And we just kept getting up and trying some more, right? What if we did that with all areas of our life? What if instead of failing to continue, that's our really only failure, failing to continue. We cannot fail as long as we're trying, all right? But we need to work our way past the, how am I going to look if I fail? What am I going to, how are people going to respond to me if I fail? The people who really create amazing lives for themselves are the ones that really don't care what other people think. If they fall flat on their face, they just pick themselves up, dust themselves off while everybody's laughing and snickering behind their hands, and keep going. Keep going. Who cares? Who cares? We accomplish the most when we let go of caring about what other people think. What we accomplish the most, we feed our souls the most when we choose to do the things, when we get those cues, move forward this step, this step, this step. I was on Zoom call last night with the 8 people who are going to Isla Mujeres in January, and was just listening to all of these women talking about, several of them, 3, I think, out of the 8 of us are turning 65 in this coming year. And this is, good morning, Gwen. This is their gift that they're giving themselves, is to go on this trip, have an experience. And so Kayleen asked us each to answer the question as we went around. What are we bringing to this trip and this group of women? And what are we hoping to take home with us from this trip and this group of women? And I loved the answers. I just loved the answers. And we can all be doing this. We can all be asking ourselves. Well, and it was funny too. My meditation for today is how to be renewed every day. I embrace the newness of this day. I embrace the newness of this day. So even if it seems, the Deepak said in this little thing, 40 to 50% of our thoughts on a daily basis are thoughts we've already had in the past. Think about that. Only half of our thoughts are new and creative. What if we jack that up even a little bit? Even a little bit. So one way to do that is take something in your environment. So I'm going to grab this pencil. Here's a pencil. We all know what a pencil's for, right? What else have you ever used a pencil for? Have you ever knocked something off a shelf with a pencil? Have you ever put it in to hold something open? You've used a pencil in multiple ways for which it was not intended, correct? Think about that with all the things on your desk, all the things in your life. How else could I be utilizing this? People who repurpose stuff, that they love doing that, right? They'll take something that was a thing, no longer serving that purpose, and find a whole new way to use it, right? I love that. Yard art, that's one of my favorite ways to repurpose something into something cool and creative. So today I want you feeding your creativity. Even if all you're going to do with it is sit there and think about, well, what else could I do with this thing? Good morning, Bonnie. Welcome, welcome. What else could I do with this thing? What other purpose could it serve? Etc. So I'm going to be messing around with, I'll show you. So here's my little tripod. That's the reason we're at this weird angle today, because the top snapped off of it. So I can no longer plop you on my pile of books on the tripod so that you're looking at me directly. So instead it looks like I'm this big thing, kind of. You're leaning up against a stack of books. So I'll have to go get another one, but whatever. Necessity is the mother of invention, right? So now I have this little bitty tripod thing, and I can think about, what else could I do with this? This could be kind of fun. What could I turn this into? Especially with Halloween coming. Could be kind of fun. Maybe it's a spider. I don't know. Anywho, creativity. That's what I want you feeding today. Oh, 4:30 where you are. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You changed 2 time zones instead of 1 then. Oh my goodness. Well, happy 4:30 in the morning. It's still dark as heck here. It's 6:30, but there is no light whatsoever. Even the moon was like an almost non-existent little new moon sliver. So what are you going to do for creativity today? What are you going to do for creativity? I'm going to my favorite coffee shop this morning to catch up with a friend, and they always do creative things at the top of the coffee, like make it into a heart or, fun stuff. So that's one of the things where I'm going to get to observe someone else's creativity today. But what will you do to be creative? And if you have not ever read this book, Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear, get it. And those of you who have not been trained up on thriftbooks.com, amazing. So most books are in the $3, $4, $5 range, and when you have, I believe it's $10 or $15, so buy 3 or 4 books, you're there. You get free shipping. I adore thriftbooks.com. So check it out if you haven't, and maybe Big Magic is one of the ones that you get for your first round. And then you can earn free books by buying lots of books, which I'm one of those people. And then when I've read them and I don't necessarily want to keep them, I'll trot them over to the little free library across at the middle school. So it's all good. It's all good. So have an awesome creative day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.